And so I want to thank you very much for inviting me here this evening. It is difficult, and although I am trying to meet as many of my neighbors on Staten Island as I possibly can, it's wonderful when there's a gathering of my neighbors so that I can address them in larger groups. So my name is Joan Illuzzi. I am a lifetime Staten Islander. I was born and raised in Midland Beach. I'm married currently to my husband John for 27 years, and we have 2 children. I have always lived on Staten Island. Upon getting married, we had a little apartment in Great Hills, and then bought a home in Eltyville, and then a second home we bought on Brady's Pond. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that area. I went to St. Margaret Mary's and then St. Joseph's Academy. I went to NYU for undergrad and then St. John's School of Law. Immediately upon graduating St. John's School of Law, I obtained a position as an assistant district attorney in the county of New York. Then the DA was Robert Mogador, affectionately known by all of us as the boss. He was there for a very, very long time. And our motto at the DA's office was one that was very long-standing. There was a famous DA named Frank Hogan, whose campaign slogan in 1942 holds true this very day as it did then, which is, you can't play politics with people's lives. And so as an assistant district attorney from then until June 1st, when I had to resign my position because I became the Republican nominee to run for DA here, for those 27 years, I had a luxury. I had a luxury that I dare say not too many lawyers can say, which is that everywhere else people work for money. When you're a DA in the Manhattan DA's office or any DA's office, you work for one thing, and that is justice. And we get paid. We do not get paid by arrest. We do not get paid by indictment. We do not get paid by trial. We get paid each and every day to do what is right. I went into criminal court like all of my colleagues when they started and handled misdemeanor cases, which you know are like lower level cases. And then once you have proven proficiency in that, then you get to do felonies, which are more serious cases. Those involve things like more serious assaults, robberies, grand larcenies, identity theft cases, and drug sales. After you have mastered and shown an amount of proficiency in not only indicting cases, but trying cases and weighing in certainly on decisions whether or not, as the judge said, it is the right thing to go forward in the crime or not. Then, if you continue to stay at the DA's office, and you will and you wish to, you get put on the homicide chart. And on the homicide chart, about once a month in Manhattan at least, you are responsible for any murder or suspicious death that has occurred in Manhattan during that period of time, during a 24-hour period. Now, I was moved up rather quickly through criminal court, felonies, and then put on the homicide chart when I was only a DA for about 5 years. And at that time, it was the early 90s. And I have to say, New York City was the wild, wild west. And I'm sure that many of you remember that period of time in our city. There was actually most of the time on a 24-hour period, it wouldn't just be one homicide or suspicious death. Sometimes there would be 3 or 4 or even 5. And at times it required that I would stay out of my home for 2 or 3 days in a row, doing what I had to do in assisting in the investigation and making decisions about charging whether or not to charge certain individuals. In 2000, I was named a senior trial counsel to then Robert Mogador. That is the highest plateau of a lawyer who is practicing in the courtroom to be given. Out of 500 and something lawyers, I think there are about 12 senior trial counsels, and I was one of them. I continued in that position when Mr. Mogador retired and Cyrus Vance came in to be our new DA. As soon as Cyrus Vance came in, he asked me to do something very special for him, which was that he wanted to fulfill a promise that he had made to the people of the city of New York, which is that he wanted to start a hate crimes unit. He asked me to start that hate crimes unit and to be the chief of that unit. I was very happy and proud to be able to fulfill that role for Cyrus Vance and for the people of the city of New York. I'm going to explain a little bit about what that role is. As chief of the hate crimes unit, any hate crime that occurred in Manhattan I would be made aware of. I would work in conjunction with the NYPD, and we would discuss the incident. I would continue to help investigate it. I would supervise the lawyers who handle that, and sometimes I would handle them myself. And we would decide whether or not we can charge a hate crime or not. And I have to say that unless you have sat across somebody, a table from a victim, who felt like each and every day of their lives they walked around wearing a target on their back simply for being who they are, then I don't know that any one of us can explain fully the importance of having that unit and having that ability to charge as a hate crime in the penal law. So I was able to do that until I resigned as well. Now it is my pleasure to run for DA. And lastly, I'll say this, that right now in Staten Island, aside from the group of people that are actually in our DA's office, I am most likely the most senior law enforcement lawyer on this island. And I'm very proud to be able to take those special qualities to the place where I love and I've lived my whole life. Thank you. Thank you.